So, a little bonus tech tip for you guys. This is a question that I get asked often. Like I said, I part these trucks out pretty frequently. I think people just don't realize that these are different parts, okay? So, most of these trucks that I part out are built on what's called the GMT 400 platform. Basically what that means is a lot of the truck is the same for all of them built on that platform. The frames are the same within the model. So a Chevy Silverado 1500 and a GMC Sierra 1500 are both built on the GMT 400 platform. They have the same frame. A lot of the other parts of the drivetrain are the same also. They can come with the same engine, either a 4.8 or a 5.3 liter. They can have the same transmission, which is a 4L60E. They can have the same transfer case. They can have the same rear axle. Now there's options. Depending on what options you choose, you may have an upgraded rear axle, or you may have an upgraded transmission. But also between some of the different trim levels. And the example I'm going to give is, I get a lot of Denali optioned Sierras and Yukons. And the Denali option was the top end option. It came with the larger 6-liter engine. It came with all-wheel drive instead of the selectable 4-wheel drive. And the thing that I get asked a lot about is the front differential. So the all-wheel drive trucks came with a different front differential than the 4-wheel drive selectable trucks. And I have them here on the floor. I'm going to show you. Now this one closest to me is from a selectable 4-wheel drive truck. A lot of this is exactly the same, but there's a little difference between them. So everything from right here to the left is the same, whether it's an all-wheel drive truck or a selectable 4-wheel drive truck. The difference comes from here to the right, okay? The selectable 4-wheel drive trucks have this smaller tube, support tube, and the 4-wheel drive actuator. Now inside of here, there's what's called a center axle disconnect. And it's basically a splined collar that slides over a hub that connects and disconnects this axle shaft from the side gear in the differential. And GM does that so that it's not spinning your differential gears all the time, putting more wear and tear on the bearings and on your pinion and on the drive shaft and the transfer case. They only need to be spinning when it's in 4-wheel drive. So the center axle disconnect lets all of this stuff not spin when it's disengaged when you're in 2-wheel drive. When you switch to 4-wheel drive, it slides that little collar over, connects the splined hub over the splined collar, and now your center differential here is connected to both axle shafts. So when the drive shaft spins, it turns the differential, and it spins both axle shafts, which then turn both wheels. On your all-wheel drive trucks in the GMT 400 platform, you have a different front differential. This differential does not have a center axle disconnect. The reason being, all-wheel drive basically has the front and rear wheels driven by the engine anytime you're under power. So instead of having that center axle disconnect with the collar that engages and disengages over the hub, your all-wheel drive differential, this shaft, this axle shaft, goes all the way through right into the differential side gear. It's one piece. It doesn't need to be able to disengage because your all-wheel drive is always putting power to all 4 wheels on a flat, dry driving surface. Now, a side effect of this design is it's slightly stronger than the 4-wheel drive differential. There's fewer moving pieces. A solid shaft is stronger than a splined cup sliding over a hub. So the all-wheel drive differential is a little bit stronger. They do make retrofit kits that you essentially engages the four-wheel drive actuator all the time. So this is still locked in. Both axles are being driven by the differential. But again, it's not as strong as a true all-wheel drive differential because it's only one piece. From shaft to side gear, there's one piece, not different pieces sliding over each other to engage. I get asked about this all the time. You know, the Denali trim level GMCs came with the all-wheel drive front differential. The Cadillac Escalades and Cadillac trucks, they had all-wheel drive, so they came with this front differential. So just a little bit of information to help you know what to look for. If you're doing a custom build and you're going to have all-wheel drive, you definitely want to try to find an all-wheel drive front differential. If you can't find one, you know, you can retrofit the four-wheel drive front differential, but it's just not as strong. Everything else about these is exactly the same. They go into that same GMT 400 platform. So your upper mount, your passenger side mount, and your lower mount are all exactly the same. They're in the exact same space. The size of the differential on all the 1500s is the same size. Your 2500 and 3500s have a larger differential with a larger diameter ring gear. It makes it stronger. But any of your all-wheel drive 1500s, they all have that all-wheel drive front differential. It's unique to those. The all-wheel drive trucks also have a special transfer case that is unique to them. It's different from the transfer case in the selectable four-wheel drive trucks. So just a little piece of information that I get asked about frequently. I want to put it out there. Hopefully this helps you. Whether you're making repairs to your Cadillac or your GMC with the Denali trim, you know, now you know what to look for in that front differential if you have some issues. You also know you need that specific transfer case. Or if you're doing a custom build and you want to make something all-wheel drive, like I said, you can find yourself an all-wheel drive front diff, or you can retrofit your four-wheel drive front diff. So just a little piece of information. Hopefully it helps you out. Hopefully you found that useful. And I'll try to add more of these in for everybody.